why is Tibetan language important for Tibetan Buddhism? Well, it's very important because 90% of our beautiful Tibetan Buddhist texts are in Tibetan and not translated into Western languages. They have most beautiful, incredible texts. I mean, look, I studied Tibetan language, classical Tibetan, because Lama Rinpoche asked me to, yeah, okay? And he told me, he said, all your practices you can only do in Tibetan forever onwards. And I was like, for the first bit I was thinking, what am I going to do? I can't understand anything. And I thought I'd better study Tibetan now. It's so beautiful, you know. Our tradition, yeah, is 2,500 years old. Actually, originally it was in, I don't know, like Prakrit, it's what the language of the Buddha, yeah. Then in the Mahayana period was in Sanskrit, yeah, okay. In the Tibetan, classical Tibetan, there's actually a modified form of Kashmiri from the 8th, 9th century. And it was invented because they needed a language to write down Buddhism, yeah? When the Indian Panditas went from India to Tibet, yeah? They didn't have a written language, yeah? So they modified this form of Sanskrit, yeah? Some kind of Sanskrit, and produced classical Tibetan, yeah? So why we should do it is, first, because we want to continue to practice with the great Lamas and Geshes of the Gelugpa tradition, yeah? So it's so nice if you can do the pujas together with the monks, and also they're happy for us to do the pujas together. And you can understand it, that's the first advantage, yeah? It's much better. I would find very boring to repeat something I couldn't understand, so also that's one reason I wanted to learn, because I thought I'm not going to repeat something for hours and hours I can't understand. So then you can meditate into, you repeat into, like Lama Chirpa, you can repeat it and meditate on it at the same time. So that's the first advantage, yeah? Second advantage is, I don't know, this is just me, but for me, when I do like a puja or something in Tibetan, it's easier to feel like the lineage of blessings, you know? I think it's because, like, for, I don't know, let's say 1,200 years, people have been using that. It's like Latin, no? So it's a sacred language, classical Tibetan, yeah? For 1,200 years, people have been using that sacred language to meditate with, yeah? So it's like kind of they program the collective unconscious with that, you know? So personally, I find that when I do a puja in Tibetan, I find it easier to meditate, yeah? I think maybe I'm less conceptual or something. I don't know. There's a different vibration. So anyway, you have to try it and see, yeah? It has some very special feeling, very special quality, yeah? So that's the second reason. One is because it's so nice to do things together with the Geshes. We like the Geshes and the monks. We want to continue together with them, yeah? You know, for many, many generations. So we want to continue having our international Dharma language of Tibetan, and then, okay, we translate in English, French, Chinese, Portuguese, whatever, you know, thousands of languages, yeah? But when we all come together, we do Tibetan. Also, it's more democratic, yeah? Because most of us don't speak Tibetan, so nobody can disagree with which language to do the puja in. Anyway, I'm joking, yeah? Tibetan's a very beautiful language. Okay, next reason why we should do it is because there's the knowledge of incredible great masters, you know, like the Tibetan Buddhist. Okay, first was the Indian Panditas. Actually, you should learn Sanskrit, by the way, if you're interested really in the Dharma. But the Tibetan masters who came afterwards, in Tibet they didn't have Facebook, they didn't have TV. They're up in the monasteries in the middle of nowhere. So what they did is they write books. Yeah, there's millions of pages of incredible spiritual teachings in Tibetan. Yeah. So beautiful. It's like, I don't know, the words are so incredible, you know. I mean, they're like they're translated exactly from Sanskrit. They meant the what was he called? The translator was called Tomi Sambuta, yeah. And the Tibetan king of the time, he made a commission of translators that he sent to India and brought back to Tibet, yeah. So what they did is they studied Sanskrit very well, and then with this new Tibetan language, they put exactly the meaning, you know, from Sanskrit to Tibetan, yeah? So it's like, once you start to learn Tibetan, it's like much nicer than saying it in English or Spanish or French or something, yeah? It's like, I don't know, the words are like much nicer and also more to the point, more simple actually, you know? And because like in our language, you're like, okay, we try and explain and understand, but we're always like somehow going around trying to find exactly the right word, but in Tibetan or in Sanskrit, it's totally clear the meaning, yeah? Like very beautiful, like more easy, more simple. I don't know, it's a very nice language, yeah? So anyway, so you have access to all the classics of our tradition. So far we translate 10% literally, yeah? So if you like reading, if you're into the, you're into the Dharma, really, Tibetan is the way to go, There's so many, like for example, with all our practices, there's so many beautiful commentaries of so many great lamas and masters. It's so many practices. It's amazing, yeah? Like for example, here with Rinpoche. Like me, I enjoy so much, and I can read like Rinpoche's books. It's so beautiful, I'm completely happy in the middle of all this, yeah? So I would definitely recommend it as an experience, yeah? Also, you won't get Alzheimer's. Because learning a foreign language is very good for your brain, yeah? And when I went to school for like 4 years, I mean, I'm still learning, of course, but when I went to school for 4 years doing Tibetan and Sanskrit, it was funny. I felt like my brain was growing, like here and up here, the language centers. And all the time my brain was like itching, because your brain reforms neurons in that language, yeah? So because it's a very different language from any Western language, it reforms your brain. It's interesting. Anyway, try it, yeah? So that's another reason. You won't get dementia or Alzheimer's, yeah? Really, yeah? It's just got, honestly, like, if you really want to, if you really want to get into Tibetan Buddhism, it's a must. I'm sorry to tell you this, but you must, yeah? Well, I'm not sorry, I'm actually happy to tell you, yeah? Because then you can really enter into the essence of our tradition. Maybe in 200 or 300 years it won't be necessary, but now it's absolutely necessary, yeah? Because, as Lama Ganchen says, that he wants to develop Western Buddhas, yeah? Buddhas with blonde hair and blue eyes, or black hair and brown eyes, or whatever, but Western Buddhas, yeah? When we are Western enlightened people, there's no problem. We can write everything in our own language, yeah? However, at the moment, we're relying on Tibetan enlightened people, yeah? So very good, we can connect exactly with their thoughts, I mean, look, if you read like Dante in Italian, it's much better, yeah, sorry, than in English. If you read Don Quixote in Spanish, it's much better, yeah, sorry. The original is always better than the translation, isn't it? Yeah, you have the different feeling, different energy. We spend a lot of time doing pujas, a lot of time doing many different kinds of pujas. If you can read Tibetan, you can do them. You can enter fully into like what we're actually doing here in Albaniano and our centres around the world, yeah? If not, we try and make everything, like we, the translators, we try it to make everything accessible. But there's always, many things not translated. So please, if you feel you can, try and learn Tibetan. At least try and learn a few things, yeah? You'll really benefit from it, yeah? Okay? Okay, so there's a lot more to say about this. But really, honestly, like, it's very empowering to learn Tibetan if you want to study Tibetan Buddhism, yeah? You'll just get a lot more out of it. You'll enjoy more. You'll be able to understand more because you can have many more commentaries, many more explanations. Also, if you want to work for us and help us, you're welcome, yeah? We need more translators, yeah? So please, we want to make more lamas. If you want to be a lama, sorry, you have to learn Tibetan. That's another advantage, yeah? Yeah? So any potential lamas, you have to study Tibetan, okay? Okay, thank you.